Welcome to Between State Lines.
Welcome back to Between State Lines, episode 24, and we are now post-Thanksgiving. Christmas is 19 days away now. Steph, how was your Thanksgiving?
It was good. I kept myself so busy. Uh yeah, I had to go between my house, my best friend's house. It was a very busy day. I went from dressing nice to full-blown sweatpants, sweatshirt. It was great.
What was your favorite dish you had?
Okay, I would have to say dessert at Lauren's house was superior. It was the pumpkin cheesecake from Costco. At my house, I filled up on roasted vegetables because I was the official vegetable roaster. And so I was doing that for hours. And I just kept taste testing them. And I was doing a pretty good job, if I must say so myself. But then I was too full to eat dinner. What about yours? What was your favorite dish?
So I love turkey every year. It's my I know it's so cliche to be like it's your favorite, but I spent obviously my first 25 years having Thanksgiving with my parents, and my mom, God bless her, she is terrible, terrible at cooking turkey or any meats. I have watched her make burgers, and she will take the spatula and squish the burger meat down to get all the juice out. I'm like, there's all the flavor.
Yeah,
Um, so I
that's just
had
like my
dry
mom.
turkey. Your mom does the same thing.
Yeah, and she boils chicken. I can't say it too
Oh
loud.
my!
She'll hear me.
Don't get me Don't get me started. It's okay, side note here. We obviously buy the big Costco packs of chicken, and we put them in the freezer to have pull them out every so often. And my mother in law was staying with us. Hopefully, she's not listening to this podcast. I don't think she is,
Hopefully not.
but she was saying she was staying with us, and I had forgotten to pull one out for dinner, but I was going to just buy chicken from the store fresh, and she started microwaving it to thaw it. And I was like, I mean, you could technically do that, but it's that makes it so rubbery. And so I
Yeah.
just walk in, I'm like, "What is in the microwave for 30 minutes?" She's like, "Oh, the chicken." I was like, "Okay, well, I'm not eating dinner." So
Yeah, that's a no for me. You no. You defrost this the patient way or you go get fresh. We're not No, growing up on that boiled chicken stuff, that's how I thought you had to make it. It took me a long time to learn that that is the worst way to make chicken. Like you are a prisoner.
it's and I don't know why our parents' generation, maybe their parents did it enough and they liked it, but that's one thing they do. And then my mom, she makes turkey dry as hell. It's really dry. And so my wife, the first year we were together, she made her own turkey. And uh, a funny story, my mom made her own turkey at the same Thanksgiving. We had two turkeys for 8 people. Um, and my wife's turkey was so freaking juicy and so tender. And I was like, okay, I am a fan of turkey now. Thanksgiving is back on the menu.
Yeah, when you said that your favorite dish is turkey, I'm like, okay, so you must make it well because I think that many people out there struggle with making turkey juicy and delicious, especially our parents' generation. I don't know what's up with that, but yeah, it's pretty easy to mess it up.
Very easy. And yeah, I don't get it, but my brother-in-law smoked a turkey this year too, and oh my god. I It rivaled my wife's turkey. It was I won't say it out loud, but it was, oh my god.
So
It was so
good.
good. So
Yeah,
good.
we spatchcocked turkey, like smushed down cut it in the spine. I don't know, but my uncle was talking about how he was going to do it, and my sister's roommate Levi, man, bless Levi, because he was like, "Oh, you named it." It was like he thought we named the turkey.
Oh my god.
That got me for so long. Like, thank you, Levi. I'm so happy you showed up to Thanksgiving. We just had the normal, like, hodgepodge of random people, though. Like, my mom didn't show up till later. It was, like, my uncle, his random friends that he's met selling them bidets and random stuff like that. My uncle's not a bidet salesman, but he really loves them so much that he sells a lot of people on them.
I thought you were saying like he like bought a big like Costco like thing of bidets and was like hawking them on the street like, oh, here you go, buddy, $10 for a
No,
bidet.
he just loves them so much that he will sit there and sell you on why you need one. He does not make anything on this. He should. He definitely should. He should find a way to somehow make money with the amount of people that he's talked into buying bidets and the amount of friends that he's made from talking people into buying bidets. They didn't ask for this, but this is the life they live now.
Tushy, I think Tushy is that common brand. Tushy, if you are listening to this, you sponsor us. We have a great salesman standing by, and he could do an ad reading for you. And yeah, you give me
Are
some
they the
money.
one with the heated one? Because we have one of those too.
You
It's
have a
like,
heated bidet?
yeah, yeah. It. My uncle does not like it. He has never once used it. He said that he doesn't want his seat to feel like somebody just sat there. But my aunt loves it because it's cold in Oregon. Like it's yeah. It, that's all I got. I tried it once. That's the only bidet I've ever tried. And you know what? She's not wrong about it. He's not necessarily wrong either, though.
I'm not a fan of bidets. I can't get behind it, but I mean, to each their own, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean that was my only experience, and it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. Do I have one in my bathroom? No. There are 4 bathrooms in this house. 2 of them have bidets, and I've only used it once. I think that says enough. But if you
That,
talk to my uncle, you'll want one.
so Tushy, there you go. We have a salesman for you. Contact us. We'll get you going.
Yep.
Um, so weird story of Thanksgiving. We all had a cold this year because my daughter's daycare is apparently just a boiling pot for everything that could possibly go wrong. Um, but so she brought a cold home. We all got sick, and we're still getting over it. Like she's still been 2 weeks now, and now she's the nasal drip is like making her throw up. So she's had like puke twice in a row now, 2 days in a row. And now she has pink eye, so like even better. But
Awesome. My daughter
um,
frequently, I'm warning her, please do not bring pink eye. Like she said something about, well, what if somebody else touches poop and then they touch my eye? And I'm like, please, let's just not test the theories. Let's just leave it alone. I've told you how it happens. Please, no.
don't don't poke the beast. Yeah, so we were all sick. We couldn't go to the family dinner because we my wife's grandmother was there. We didn't want to get her sick and whatnot. But so we had to figure out dinner for the night. So I went and drove around. At first, I placed an order at a place called the Village Baker, and this is my I have a beef with the Village Baker now. They said they were open. Okay, I placed the order. I was looking forward to this delicious turkey, cheese, mayo, lettuce, tomato, all the toppings sandwich on sourdough, homemade sourdough. I paid for the order. I get there, not open. Okay, so that's frustrating. My beef with them is ongoing forever. But so I drove around finding a place to eat and I found Arby's. But on the way to Arby's, I saw some homeless people on the street begging for food or money. And I like as I drove past, I did like a double take on their sign, like looking back to read it. And they made eye contact with me. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go get them some sandwiches, some fries. They need a hot meal, cold outside, and go get the food. And Arby's, while I'm there, like, hey, we have these 2 extra sandwiches. You want those too? And I was like, hell yeah, the more the merrier. So I get all this food, and I drive back, and they're gone. They're not there. I think I creeped them out by staring at them. They're like, this guy is gonna murder us.
I mean, it was the opposite, but that's okay. So, what do you do with all these sandwiches? Do you just have Arby's for days?
I had Arby's for like 3 days in a row. Not that I'm complaining. Arby's is delicious. Again, Arby's, if you want to sponsor us, your uh single, whatever they call it, the roast beef sandwich with cheese,
Beef and
delicious,
cheddar.
underrated. Beef and cheddar, that's what it is. Yes, that's what. Okay, don't judge me.
Like, you almost had it.
Roast beef and cheese, beef and most underrated sandwich though, fast food places. That is so good, and Arby's gets so much hate for no reason. I don't get it.
They do, because most people are like, why are they still in business? Who's keeping Arby's afloat? But I don't know if they still have it, but their French dip that they used to have, like me and my grandma used to get French dips a lot.
They're so good, and like it's just I don't know. If I'm out and I see Arby's versus like McDonald's or like Wendy's, I'm going to Arby's. They're just like even like Chick-fil-A they're better than Chick-fil-A in my opinion.
I don't know. Wendy's is like my go-to spot. I love Wendy's. I love their sweet and sour sauce and like all the nuggets. Plus, they have that cheeseburger deluxe, and it has everything you need. Except for, I think you need to add
I will
pickles to it, but maybe.
I will say Wendy's burgers top McDonald's burgers. Like it goes Wendy's and then like McDonald's, but uh like their fries, I just think McDonald's makes better fries. So it's like if you had both together at the same time, it'd be perfection.
Yeah, I just feel like it was a bold move saying that their fries are better than McDonald's. Like, how can they really say that?
Yeah. Uh, I don't know. But that's my fast food take. Those are my top rankings. Um well, not top rankings. I would say In and Out is probably better than those two.
Yeah, but their fries suck.
God, yeah, their fries are the worst.
Yeah, they try really hard. There's A for effort.
And like I've seen people that recommend like, oh, get it underdone or whatever, or like lightly cooked. I'm like, it's even worse like that. It's not any better, dude. Like, just stop.
Yeah, no, I think In and Out just counts on you being really stoned for their fries. Like, I don't know.
um, so a new segment I am implementing today, just for today's episode only, maybe for future episodes, is a segment called Holden's Beef Corner, where I pick a few topics that I have a beef with, or people I have beef with. And this week, number one is Nurse Hannah. I don't know if you've heard all the drama on TikTok. Okay. Do you recall? I want to say it was like 4 months ago, maybe a little longer. There was a lady on TikTok saying that she had like 17 diapers around the house, like used, and she would spend her nights like picking them up.
No, I recently heard about her, but I didn't hear about it when I
Okay.
was in real time.
Okay. So you're at least familiar. So for our audience, this lady is as close to human trash as anything maybe in the world. She There's a video that really started the whole uh, internet beef with her, where her son flinched when her husband brought him a box of like I don't know what it was, Crustables at the grocery store, and like people were like, your child should not flinch when you bring them something, and of course her follow up video is like, well, my husband tackles him and like they play dinosaurs and like he scares him around the corner. I'm like, I do that with my daughter all the time, and not a single flinch is ever to be had.
Yeah, my son, like his dad's sister, since he was a baby, she would do the boo and scare him, and he doesn't flinch like that. Because I saw a reaction video to the flinch. Yeah, No, that wasn't like a little flinch either. Like he was fully like,
Yeah, he was like doing like the hands in the face, and it's like you watch his legs are doing that like tense thing where he's like scared. I'm like, I like first of all, as a kid who was abused as a kid, I like that stuff just like hurt to watch. It was like I know how the kid felt, and I know the reaction and how instinctual it is, and like how you just want to defend yourself. Um, like that was I was so mad when I and it was like every video I saw of hers, I got madder and madder. Like the video where she is eating at a restaurant with her husband her and they're eating a sandwich and like fries, and the kid has a salad, and that's it. Like just lettuce, no chicken on it, no croutons, like nothing on the salad, just lettuce. And they're eating these full ass meals in front of him, and you can see his face, like he just wants to eat something, and they won't give him anything at all.
wow, I haven't seen that at all. But holy cow. Like I already didn't think high things from just hearing about the diapers and seeing the flinch. But wow, I didn't think they could get worse.
It gets worse. This is my last beef with her. I mean, there's lots of beef. This is my last one I'm going to mention. So with the diapers, she said in a previous video that she does not change diapers for pee. She will only change them if there's poop in there. So, first of all, your child is sitting in their own piss for however long. My daughter poops once a day, so like 12 hours. And not only that, if your 17 diapers thing is accurate, you have been letting those diapers pile up for like 2 weeks.
Disgusting. Disgusting to leave that stuff around. Um, yeah, and if you're only feeding him lettuce or meals like that, like really, he's not really eating. So how often is he actually pooping? Oh my God.
Yeah,
And they're
yeah.
just showcasing this on the internet. There's no shame.
There's no shame. And like there are people in the comments who are defending her. I'm like, how can you defend a literal child abuser? Like this is like if the hitting was not there, this is still like child abuse because she's not feeding them properly. She's letting them sit in their own filth, which like my daughter gets a diaper rash after being in a pee diaper for like an hour. So like
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
We had a discussion about this today because at preschool they don't wipe the kids. So if my daughter poops, then she wipes herself. And her dad was like, "Hey, like it looks like there's like poop smears in her underwear." And I was like, "Well, they don't wipe at the school, so we've been working on wiping better. And like normally I'll just check her afterwards." And he was like, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "We're also working that with my son because I've just always wiped him. And then now he's in kindergarten. And so he has to figure it out himself because nobody's going to do that for him there. Like, sorry, my kids are behind on this." But yeah, I was like, we just have to work with her. And I can't imagine this poor kid. Like, wow. And then they just don't feel like failures.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get the lack of shame, the lack of like, you know, just common decency. If you don't want to be a parent, that's fine. Just put your kids up for adoption, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
but you you made the choice to have not one kid but two kids. Like you
They have
needed
two
to provide
kids.
them. They have two kids, a baby and this kid.
Wow. Yeah. Like I know even just having that discussion today with like the poop smears in her underwear, I felt like a failure of a parent. And she's 3. I can not imagine, how do you not have that internal like looking at yourself and being like, I messed up. Because they're messing up in all sorts of ways. Like, how do they just ignore that? How do you eat a full plate of something and then just give your child lettuce? Like, I don't know. That's like one of my huge things is I don't want my kids to go to bed hungry. I also don't ever want them to feel like they're left somewhere. So, like, I try to get them early because I never want them to be like the last kid picked up from school or the last kid picked up from preschool.
Yeah. I I don't get it. Like you said, I just eating a full ass meal in front of your kid who is eating lettuce. Like my daughter eats off our plates. Like if she wants, there are times when she's getting the same damn meal as me, like fries and nuggets, and she won't eat her own fries, but she'll eat my fries and whatever. That's okay. She's eating. I don't give a damn.
Yeah, that happens all the time here. Like, I don't know. That wow. I just
So that concludes my beef with Nurse Hannah, an awful person. Um, my second beef, which would be the last beef for today's segment, is Blue Cross Blue Shield. Um, so we all know that the United Healthcare CEO was assassinated this week,
yes.
and I don't condone any murder, as I'm sure you don't. However, I can understand why people are frustrated, and I will tell you a fantastic story that happened this week. So my wife had me on her insurance earlier this year when I lost my job, and then when I got hired, my new place, I she took me off her insurance and kept my daughter on her insurance. From February to June, her insurance company, Blue Cross Blue Shield, accidentally removed her from the insurance altogether and allowed her to continue using it, and they would pay for things. So she went to the hospital twice with pneumonia and had other stuff going on that she had. And so they let this go on for 4 months, actually for 9 months. And this week, her therapist told her, "Hey, your insurance company did a take back on all your benefits from these 4 months, and now you owe us $1,800." Well, it didn't stop there. So she logged on to her portal, and sure enough, every single bill that was paid from February to June was reversed, and she owes $31,000. However, they realized and acknowledged it was their fault, but the fix for it is to wait for all of these bills, all these demands for payments to come from the insurance or the providers and have them rebill. I'm like, you wait a minute, you're telling me that you took the money away. Just give it back. Like,
Yeah.
why do I have to do hours upon hours of work?
If I'm going to work for you, you will also pay me.
Right? I'm like, so like I cannot imagine having that happen to you and you can't get it fixed. Like we are still in the process of being like, okay, we think it'll be fine, but we don't know for sure, given like how insurance is. Like people out there get their claims denied all the time for dumb shit for no
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah. I worked at a dental office. They wanted to send in, I would like a doctor's note. You know what a doctor's note is? It's the office manager pulling up a template and filling stuff in, and then the doctor goes in and signs it. And you want to know what that is? Just a formality. Nobody reads that. It probably just goes from one stack to a different stack.
I just I don't get where these people get the nerve. Like, and the funniest thing that happened this week after that shooting was that I think it was Anthem when they had the whole they announced their policy like if you have surgery they'll only cover anesthesia up to like a certain point, and after that they won't cover it anymore. And no one knows how they got this number in the first place. They didn't talk to doctors. They just like probably
Made.
through actuaries and just said, oh, okay, 2 hours and then you're cut off. But after this whole thing happened and people were like posting the addresses of these other execs, they reversed the policy in like 24 hours.
Good.
Yeah.
They felt a little threatened. And honestly, that's not that bad. You're not
Right?
untouchable.
Yeah.
Like, I don't condone killing people, but I think it says something that, like, the only video I really saw about that was like they stepped over him to go have a board meeting. Like, literally, you are replaceable no matter who you are. So, can't feel like super high on your high horse. Ripley has some things to say about it too, apparently.
Yeah. I mean, that was it. And like then the nerve of like the NYPD to put out like an offer, a $10,000 offer for information on the shooter. Good luck. Good luck getting anyone to admit who, like, tell you who he is or like where they found him. He's also not. There's no way he's in New York City anymore. There's no way. The dude's already gone.
Yeah. Yeah. No way. They're not going to find out who that was. If they didn't get them right away, yeah. I can't imagine how they're going to figure that out.
And even if they do and they put him on trial, not guilty. That's why I'm jury nullification. Good luck getting a conviction from the jury of his peers because most of them will agree with him.
Yeah.
Ah,
Wow. I
okay.
cannot believe you have bills out there for $31,000, and they're just like, no, let them rebill.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, so like on a lesser scale, my insurance, and I posted a video on TikTok about this, but my insurance, I had a blood test, my annual physical blood test, which is always covered 100% every single year without fail. It's like standard blood test. It was partially denied because the office used an old code that expired January 1st. And on the phone with my doctor's office and my insurance company, they were like, yeah, we agree it's covered, but you have to rebill under a new code. I'm like, so you know what it is, you know it's covered, just pay it. Like, why do I have to wait 2 months for it to maybe get covered to pay it?
Yeah. And why do I have to babysit everybody to make sure they're doing their job? That the code gets changed, that it gets rebilled out, that you receive the bill, you pay it, that it's covered.
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
I hate insurances. I hate the way that doctors bill. I mean, like, you had 2 kids, like, you get bills for like, the anesthesiologist walk in for 5 minutes. You're like, his name is Joe. Like, you get a bill from Joe. Like, who the fuck was Joe? Oh, he's the guy that did your epidural. Okay, well, like, what the fuck? Why don't you just do one bill?
Yeah, yeah. I remember I had to prepay at the doctor who was seeing me prior to birth. And I was like, well, I have 2 insurances. And they're like, you have to prepay. And so I was like, okay, well, am I going to get a refund for this after you bill my insurance? Like, I'm pregnant now, and I would like to make sure that I want to keep as much money as possible. Yeah, no, every part of that was ridiculous. But now that I work for the tribe, I went to the clinic the other day, and because I am in between insurances since I started a new job. And they did an x-ray on my shoulder, and then they gave me a steroid shot. I think one like the is it cortisol?
Cortisone.
Cortisone? Oh god, I'm never gonna get
I think it's cortisone.
I don't know. But they did that in my shoulder, and my sister works in the billing over there, and I was like, hey, how does billing work? Like, how much am I gonna owe for this? I only have like my tribal insurance. She's like, oh, you're a tribal member, you're not gonna get billed. What? She's like, it's all covered. I was like, this was not the first time I was not gaslit, that I'm like, go walk it off. They like looked at me and they're like, oh, this sounds like this. Let's go get an x-ray. And as long as that comes back with what I think this is, then I'll have the shot ready when you get back in the room. was less than an hour.
Oh my god.
I know. I called and they were like, I have an appointment in 20 minutes if you can make it over here. I was like, oh yeah, my boss said go for it. So yeah, I'll be there in 20 minutes. And then it was less than an hour later that I had gone from that doctor to the x-rays, back to that doctor, and had everything done.
And the cherry on top is they didn't tell you it's all in your head.
Yeah. Yeah. No, even the x-ray tech was like, this is probably what you're feeling over here. I'm not a doctor, but you want to come see it? It's like, heck yes, I want to see the x-rays. Please.
God, that is okay. I'm very, very jealous, but damn, that's amazing.
Yeah, I hope all doctor experiences go like that for the rest of forever.
Okay, so that concludes my beef with people or companies or whatever. And we'll move on to the actual premise of this spooky podcast. It's today's episode is about glitches in the Matrix, which for audience, they're situations that happen that could be that you already feel like happened. Like the most common one is like seeing a black cat walk past you, and then 2 minutes later, seeing that same black cat walk past you. It's the glitch in the Matrix, glitch in the simulation where things happened more than once. Um, I've seen also on that Facebook page you invited me to that it's a lot of people take that to be like jumping timelines, which I guess is technically part of glitch in the Matrix. If you're at simulation and you're glitching, you're hopping into a new simulation. So I guess it does fall into that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've read lots of the Glitch in the Matrix Reddit stories, and I've thoroughly enjoyed those. Like, something happens, and then something else will happen, and it will be like, wait a second, I just lived this other experience, but did it happen?
And I feel like deja vu is kind of the same thing. So it's like, I feel like I've had that experience where I'm like doing something. I'm like, I swear I just did this. Like it seems so familiar. Or I go somewhere, I'm like, I've never been here before, but I swear I have been here before. Like I know where things are. Like I recognize that person or that thing, that building, but first time being there. So like,
Yeah, that happens to me a lot where I'll meet somebody and be like, oh, do I have a memory that I've met this person before? I swear that I've met this person before. And there was somebody who's tribal that passed away, I think yesterday or the day before, and they were posting about her. And I'm like, I am positive I've met this person before, but it wasn't at any tribal thing. It was like out in the wild, but I can't exactly remember. I don't know. I don't know if it was this reality or, when I was on a different timeline, because I swear I was.
one of the many timelines you were on as you hitchhiked your way through your young adulthood.
Yeah, I made it to this purgatory one. That's what it feels
Oh
like. Like
god.
this one is punishment timeline.
This is
Everything's up.
the darkest timeline.
Yeah, yeah. I am not the only one that feels this way. I've had people reach out to me recently and being like, wow, this truly feels like the darkest timeline. Like, yeah, I've been saying this. It feels that way for sure.
Yeah, there's just so much stuff happening. It's like it feels terrible. Um, so I went through Reddit as well and I pulled some stories. But there was one story I saw on TikTok. And I don't recall the whole story. The gist of it was this girl back when she was like 16 years old went on a skiing trip with her friends in Australia, which I'll do the Australian accent now.
You're
Oi, good day. I did not know that they had snow in Australia, but in the mountains they do, which makes sense. But did not know that. But
I guess. I
um,
just imagine it's hot there.
yeah, right. And like they have big ass bugs and shit. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Uh, um, so her story was that she went on this ski trip and she swears that she was on the slopes and her like friends were behind her. It was like 15 kids behind her, and all of a sudden she looks back and they're all gone. There's no one on the slopes but her. And it gets darker and darker, and she sees nobody on the mountain but herself. And eventually, through like walking for hours in these woods, trying to find her way back home, thinking that she's gonna die, she sees, according to her, some kind of like portal, which this is where I kind of get lost, but a portal that she goes through that takes her back to her reality. And the rest of the trip she spent in her cabin, did not go back in the mountain at all. She stayed by herself with a few friends, but did not go back out there. She went home and explained to her sister what had happened, and her sister believed her, but said that she probably jumped timelines, and at in the timeline she was in, her family is now grieving a lost daughter, and she's now in this new timeline with this new reality, and you know that no longer exists, the other one.
It no longer exists for her.
For
If her
her, yeah, for
family's,
her.
yeah. I mean, but then do you start looking for like, okay, well, what's different about my past here? How do I know I didn't jump back to the same timeline? Because it feels like that dark and scary place that there was nobody on the mountain with her was the different timeline. I don't know. God, it hurts my brain. It's so interesting, but it hurts my brain.
And to me it's like, I think like maybe she had a near death experience, not knowing what it was, and like in the process, like she died in that timeline, and that aloneness she felt on the mountain was like her purgatory, and then she went into this new life unintentionally jumping timelines, but was dead and now is alive again, which goes back to quantum immortality.
Yeah, I mean, going back to, okay, so that was like her in the void, and then it was like, oh, wait, it's not your time yet, and back into a different timeline. Wow. Yeah. I mean, I've wondered that before. Like, what if everything that I'm experiencing, I actually died a while ago, and this is all, I don't know. I always say like another beautiful day in the simulation. But that's a lot of like what I've seen on that glitch in the matrix is that people are saying that right now this simulation's ending, like it's, and then they keep bringing up like aliens and stuff like that too. So I don't know. Have you heard a lot about the alien stuff? Because it feels like every other day somebody's posting about like there's a bunch of UFOs or whatever they're called now over this city, or I feel like I've seen that 2 or 3 times, and I haven't even really been on social media lately.
I've seen that kind of stuff, and I've also seen there is a pretty big one in Idaho where they're like, we hear the Idaho booms, where it's like the sky is like making these drum noises. I don't know if I believe any of that. It sounds like a little bit much, but I have seen the increase, and I think it's all because of that, government hearing where they really didn't say much besides like, we know a lot more, but we're not going to tell you to the public.
Yeah, I know the whole like they're coming from the ocean thing really freaked me out because I went to the beach like a week and a half ago, and we were trying to go look for sand dollars again, but by the time we got there and like actually made it out to the beach, it was high tide. And then by the time we got up the next morning and went out again, it was high tide again. Like poor planning on our part. But I was like, I'm not going out high tide at night. I'm not doing it, especially after hearing the aliens come from the ocean. It's a pass. No, thank you.
Well, and the scariest part is like, I don't remember the exact percentage, but it was like we've only discovered or explored like 10% of the oceans because it's just so vast. So, like aliens could be under there, but also like maybe these mythological creatures like Megalodon, like the shark that was, a long time ago, it could still be in existence deeper in the ocean. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know what's in there. It's terrifying. Even being next to the ocean, like it's both healing and terrifying.
Yeah, I also have seen videos of cruises of cruise ships where the person will go out on like the deck at night and it's like pitch black all around you. Like, can you imagine like falling in the ocean? First of all, you do that, you're dead. But like falling in the ocean, like they're never gonna find you at
Yeah,
night. Like it's so dark and like how terrifying would that be? You get shit faced drunk and you climb over the railing and you fall.
yeah, no, no. Especially when we're going out looking for sand dollars, it's after a couple of drinks. Like, I'm not getting taken away by a sneaker wave. It's not happening. Not at
Oh my
night.
god. There was one time, I love the beach, but I'm not like the best swimmer. But uh we went out to the beach in California and I was following my brother-in-law, who was an excellent swimmer. I was following him out into like the deep end of the water where it's like you can't touch your toes in the ground. And I did not realize how deep it was. And we got caught in a riptide or whatever it's called, rip current, undercurrent. And we were getting pulled out to sea. And I just remember all these like surfers like flying past us, being like, "Hey, what are you doing? Why are you out here?" And like the lifeguard like whistling at us, I'm like, "Come back!" And like all I remember from that after that was that I felt like I was going to drown because I was getting pulled. And they always say you should swim diagonal, but I was like swimming against it, and I was like, "Wait, hold on, I need to swim diagonal to get out of this shit, and I'm fine." And that was like the most terrifying thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah, I'm so scared because I grew up in San Diego and we like to go out into the water. I only ever went out to my waist. It was the rule. My mom was like, no further than that. She's super scared. My dad was like, it is what it is. If it happens, it happens. Like father of the year. But yeah, no, that was the rule, is not to go out there. And if one of those waves starts to take you, diagonal. Luckily, didn't ever experience that, but I am petrified. My mom made me petrified of that.
Yeah, no, it's terrifying. So your mom was justified.
Yes. Yeah, that's like one of the ones she's justified with.
um.
She's a helicopter
Okay,
mom.
so yeah, I pulled some stories from Reddit, and we'll read a few. The first one is called "My Patient Freaked Me Out" by Outside Pain 4561. Not sure if this is the right place to post this, so if not, please direct me to a different page. I've been debating whether to share this, but it's been on my mind for a long time, so here it goes. Apologies in advance for the lengthy post, but I think it needs context. This happened about 3 years ago. I work in healthcare as a patient care technician, basically a CNA, but in a hospital instead of a nursing home. During this particular night shift, my responsibility was to sit with a confused patient to keep him safe. He had dementia, so he would try to get up, wander around, or pull out his IVs. My job was basically to make sure he didn't get up on his own, to prevent falls, and to keep him from pulling out any of his IVs. This kind of sitter role is pretty common for confused patients in hospitals. The patient was in his 80s, and he was so confused he didn't even know his own name or where he was. Things were going smoothly. He fell asleep around 11 p.m., but then awoke around 1 a.m. and looked over at me. Get my attention, he said, "Hey, Victoria." That's not my name, but since he was confused, I didn't think much of it at first. I told him my actual name and asked if he needed anything, but he kept calling me Victoria 3 more times. Here's where it got strange. My parents almost named me Victoria. It came down to that or my real name. They ultimately chose my name because my dad wasn't a fan of Tory spelling. The names aren't even similar. I asked the nurse if this patient had any family members named Victoria or had previously had a nurse by that name, but there was no connection. No spouse or prior caregiver with that name. Trying to shake off the odd feeling, I told myself it was probably just his confusion. But a short while later, he started singing the theme song to the Beverly Hillbillies, and that's when I really got chills. When I was little, my parents used to recite that theme song as if it were a bedtime story when my siblings and I asked for a story. The whole situation gave me an eerie feeling, like this man somehow knew about me, even though we had never met. There's no way he could have known any of my family. This is in my college town, far from where I grew up. I might be overthinking it, but years later, I still think about this night and the unsettling feeling I had. Has anyone experienced anything similar or have any thoughts on this? I'd love to hear any insights.
What? That's so creepy. That's so creepy. Hey, Victoria. I mean, my grandpa did stuff like that when he was going through his dementia. I want to call it a phase because he had a bad infection. And he kind of came back after they cleared that up. But he would say, like, his sister's name. Like, ask where Anne is. And I've never met Anne. She disappeared in, like, the 60s, like, prior to my mom and my uncle being born. Um, yeah, but, and then the theme song, when was this? What a random theme song to come out.
Right? So this was posted this year, last month, and it was 3 years ago. So about 2021. So like the odds, if it was like an older person, I'd say okay, it's a good chance that you listened to it or watched it as a kid or whatever. But that seems pretty strange.
Yeah,
Coincidence, maybe, but pretty strange.
I remember I've heard it. I couldn't tell you it off the top of my head. Um, yeah, that's wild. Especially some 80-year-old man with dementia. Like, how does he remember it?
So my theory is one of two things. Either it was really just a guy with dementia, not meaning anything by it and just saying a random name and a random song and it just being coincidence altogether. Or he himself was experiencing some kind of timeline jump. So like his other self was also or did die and kind of merge with him, like jumping timelines. And in that moment of that slight clarity when he jumped bodies, he thought Victoria. And then like the song afterwards. And then, you know, after that dementia set in, he doesn't know who he is.
I don't even know. That truly feels like a glitch in the Matrix. Like, how odd. Of all of the things, like, he's confused. It feels like coincidence is a little far fetched. That's wild. And trippy. And I would probably pee myself. I'd be like, I cannot come back to this person.
I feel like I operate under the assumption that there are no such things as coincidences. Like things just happen and it's not a coincidence. But that was I mean, I don't know how anyone can be a nurse in general. I could never do that. So kudos to them. But like at that happening at 1 a.m. Nah, I'm good.
Nah, I freak myself out enough. I don't need anyone's help in the middle of the night. No.
Oh, did you watch that dancing smiling man video I sent you?
Yes, I did. Yes, I
Wasn't
did.
it like everything you imagined?
It was everything I imagined and more. Yeah. Yeah. I don't like to go outside by myself right now because I do imagine that, like, okay, there's going to be somebody crouched down the street. He's going to come up here, sneaking up, like, with I don't know, taking long steps, but quicker than he should be.
So I had this thought after we ended the episode, that I completely forgot to mention to you. Imagine like in this situation where this guy is like running at you. Really, any situation. Let's just say someone's running towards you like a threatening man, and then you just like gear up and you run at him full speed. I don't know, like maybe they'd be freaked out and I'm like, man, why is this person I'm trying to kill running at me full speed?
Okay, but this is my theory, is that it's not a person. It's some sort of entity. Do you really want to clash with that? I want to be away from that.
You know, in my brain, if it's an entity, they're probably gonna catch up to me regardless. Like it probably
Maybe.
can just teleport. So I'm gonna run at them full speed and see what happens. Like we're locking eyes. We're doing this. We're like kind of like in it's always sunny where Charlie and Mac lock eyes across the restaurant. They're like run at them full speed.
But if they can teleport, they can just teleport away, and then all of a sudden you're like running into nothing.
Well, then I scared them.
You probably scared yourself. Yeah, I don't know. I would hope that I am crossing somebody else's path and then that thing's gone because you're safer in numbers. I feel like that's why the rule was when I walked anywhere as a child. And as a child, it more like 13, 14, I wasn't allowed to walk anywhere before that. I had to be with a guy and a girl I could run faster than. It makes sense. I kind of operate on that same philosophy.
Like, you know what? If you were in a situation, you would die. I'm faster than you, so like you're gonna die first, and I'm good.
Yeah. I feel really vulnerable having children because, man, do they slow you down.
Well, next time if I'm ever threatened by someone, I'm gonna run at them full speed, and I'll let you know how it ends. If I die,
Thanks.
then I'll haunt you.
Okay, thanks. I mean, at least I would figure out that you're there.
And that ghosts are real, and we'll figure. All right, so the
Continue the
next story
podcast.
from the other side. Hello, everyone. This is Holden from the Ghost Spectrum. It's like just a blank screen. We're having connection issues. let me launch into Wicket Alphaba. Ah!
That's pretty good, though.
Yes, it was. I realized halfway through that Alphaba should be the deeper tone, and what was the other one's name?
I don't know. I haven't seen Wicked.
Frick. I'll figure it out. But they should be the higher pitch, and Alphaba should be the lower pitch. Anyways, so this next story is called "The Weirdest, Most Illogical Elevator Ride I've Ever Experienced" by Saint Saturday. Hello, everyone. I've been reading stories in this subreddit for some time and never thought that I would ever experience something even remotely similar. But lo and behold, something pretty odd happened to me in an elevator, of all places. I'd like to ask your opinion on it. Anyway, as a disclaimer, I'm the kind of person who would rather ignore anything that seems out of the ordinary and go on about their life. And I try to be as rational as possible. However, I keep thinking about this situation. Maybe I interpreted the whole thing wrong. I don't know. I'll let you guys form your own opinion. Yesterday, I had to pick up a paper for an exam from the university where it's also hosted. I'm not a student there, so I'm not very familiar with the place. And the last time I went there was last year. Anyway, this is just to give you a little more context. The story goes like this: the university is extremely crowded. Since it's noon, I take the elevator to the third floor, go pick up the paper from one of their offices, then go back to the elevators. I get in the elevator with these two girls. I stand right next to the buttons. This is my fault too, because I hesitated to press my floor, but I wasn't sure if the one button was the one for the ground floor or the first floor. Anyway, the two girls talk for a bit before pressing the one button. And he clarifies it's the first floor, not the ground floor, and going silent. Everything is normal so far. We get to the first floor. I step out a bit to check if it's the floor I came from. Obviously not. And I get back in. The girls weirdly don't get off at the floor and don't say anything about it either. Okay, maybe they changed their minds but didn't mention it to each other. Whatever. 3 or 2 people, I can't recall the exact number, but it was more than one person, get in with us from the first floor. We'll call them the second group for clarity because it's about to get even more complicated. The second group pressed the buttons for the third floor and the fifth floor. Still normal. Now it gets even weirder, and I honestly really don't understand why I had no reaction or made no move to say anything. By the way, everyone was quiet. Nobody communicated anything to each other, which I really don't get. Everyone who got in the elevator was accompanied by at least one other person. Anyway, we go back to the damn third floor. On that third floor, the 2 girls get off, the floor they were previously on, with me. Again, maybe they both realized they needed to go back to the third floor, but somehow didn't mention it to each other, and neither made an attempt to press the third floor button. Anyway, this guy likes saying anyway a lot. The second group, the one who pressed the button for the third floor, doesn't get off at the third floor. Instead, another group of 3 people with coffee cups step in. And I'm not fucking with you. One of these people with the coffee cups calmly presses the button for the third floor, which they were on.
Yeah, they just got
Um,
off of the third
they
floor.
just got there. Finally, another person in the elevator pressed the button for the ground floor, and honestly, I was worried the elevator would just stay stuck on the third floor. But then I felt it going down, and I was extremely relieved as we reached the ground floor and I stepped out. Funnily enough, I looked back to see if anyone else got off at the ground floor. Nope, no one. Even if there was one person who pressed the button. Uh, I get back home and start thinking about it more in depth. What the fuck? Also, why the fuck? It's not like anything supernatural or scary happened. It just made no sense. It wasn't that there was one odd person acting weird. It wasn't as even if anyone signaled they pressed the wrong floor. Everyone involved in the situation, which need I remind you, were like 7 to 8 people, behaved illogically, and I don't understand why. It was as if they were mimicking having a destination when everyone was circling back to the third floor. It didn't help that it was silent. No one was communicating anything to anyone, like, oh, I forgot my bag on the third floor, or anything of the sort. And I also felt this strange sense of calm mixed with some uneasiness and a sensation I can't describe, as if I didn't belong in the situation or space. I honestly think I was either being pranked or people were playing some kind of game, or I'm crazy and understood the whole situation in a profoundly wrong way. Um, my life is pretty mundane in general, so I know I'm probably making a bigger deal out of this than I should. It was just an interesting situation.
They just took an elevator ride with a bunch of NPCs.
A bunch of NPCs.
Yeah, like everybody was an unplayable character there. They just went on. They were like The Sims, pressing floors, not getting off.
Okay. I'm not sure if anything was weird with this story. Like, it just seems like maybe they're NPCs, but I feel like he was reading it a little weird too.
Well, he also felt like he might have been an NPC because, like, I don't know, why didn't he press the button for the floor that he needed?
That's what I'm thinking. Like, he knew where he needed to go, or I guess he wasn't sure, but he didn't like participate in any button pressing. So there's just this random guy who is sitting in the elevator, not getting off, and all these people are like, "What the fuck is this guy doing?" Like,
Yeah, and they're all like pressing buttons and then not going on the floor that they press. Somebody else is getting out, and some other people are getting in, and somebody else is pressing a button, and then it's going there, and somebody else is getting off. it's it feels like this is a Sims game. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
did you know, weird fact, that half of all elevators Specifically in New York City, I'm sure it's like everywhere else too. Do not have like 13. Have a half of buildings do not have a 13th floor.
Yes,
That's crazy.
that is crazy. Like they're that superstitious. And if we don't like the number 13, then like what other numbers are we against?
Why don't we just start it at 14? Just go 14 and on up.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I did notice that. I think it was like the Empire State Building that they didn't have a floor 13. And yeah, I think there's a lot of buildings like that. What?
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas doesn't have
Yeah,
13?
because it's a bad luck number.
Oh, because it's a bad luck number.
The 13th floor isn't just where they skip a number. The 13th floor, they got half the floor or something, so technically it's there, but not a usable floor. Otherwise, 14 is really 13.
Oh, okay. My uncle said that they actually do have a 13th floor in a lot of the buildings. It's just like a half floor, so it's not a usable floor, so that way it still
Oh,
exists. But because otherwise 14 would just be 13.
that's what I was gonna say. Like, I'd be like, either way, you're still having a 13th floor because you count. But that makes more sense that they just have a fake floor, really.
Yeah, like a floor you can't really use. That's crazy. But yeah, he said that in Vegas they don't have 13th floors either because it's a bad luck number. And of course, when you go to Vegas, you want to be lucky.
You know what we need to do? We need to go to Vegas. We need to find a building without a 13th floor on the elevator. We need to go to the 14th floor or the 12th floor. Stop the elevator and then climb up through the hatch. And then like I guess it works better if we're on the 14th floor. Climb down, let the elevator go up, and then you can get into the 14th floor by like busting through to the 13.
How would it work better if you go to the 14th floor? I feel like that would be easier if you're on the 12th and climb up because there's more ways to get up. But then if you're on the
Actually,
14th
you're
floor,
right.
down.
Actually, you're right. But I was thinking like if you're beneath the elevator and the elevator goes up to like, let's say there's 50 floors, you have time before it comes back down. Versus like if you're trying to spend time getting through the wall and the elevator goes up, like you're
You
going
want
up
to
with the
destroy
elevator.
walls? I was just thinking that we'd go through like the hatch in the elevator, or they have to have like vents or something that we can get into.
But the wall
Or
sounds a lot cooler.
that does sound cooler, but that sounds destructive, and I think they'll find us. That sounds expensive. We better hope we're lucky while we're there.
Deny, defend,
Yeah.
depose.
Or we make really good friends with the maintenance person and we ask them to just find us a way on that half floor. There has to be a way.
We tell them we're recording our podcast and they can be on the podcast as a guest if they get us onto the 13th floor.
And then from that half floor, we'll sit crisscross applesauce because that's the only way you can because it's not a full floor. And then we'll record in the creepiest space I can imagine.
And we bring two mirrors and they face each other.
Oh my God. No. This is where I draw the line.
I contemplate recording in the cemetery tonight, but it's way too cold outside, and as you saw in the pictures, it's like a frost land.
Yeah, it's actually like that on my way to work. But I looked through my pictures and I haven't taken a single picture. Apparently, I just drive through. I take pictures when I'm getting out of work because the sun is going down and there's like this little bit of light going around the mountain, and it is absolutely beautiful. But apparently, the frost, I just enjoy it.
Yeah, I haven't seen the sun in like a week here. Like it's been so foggy, you can't see anything through the fog.
Yeah, it's been really foggy, but it's been like areas of really dense fog and then beautiful sun.
Ah, jealous, jealous, jealous.
I'm all here for the snow though. I have a job that if there's a little bit of snow, I get sent home and paid for it. So I am for the snow this year. It's like the first time ever.
I really miss snow. It snows a little bit here every now and then, but like we don't get much. We get like maybe an inch or two
Yeah,
at a time.
that's too. It's like once every 2 years too. And we had ice storm last year, so maybe it will be snow this year.
Maybe.
My fingers crossed. My hopes are not up. It's okay.
Um. Okay, so this next story is called "I Nearly Met Myself?" question mark by Lana underscore Bandicoot. This happened about 2 months ago, and I haven't stopped thinking about it. After stumbling across these glitch in the matrix videos that keep popping up on YouTube, I thought I'd share it with you all. I've got no explanation, so maybe one of you does. I need to know if anyone has ever had something like this happen. I work a pretty boring 9 to 5 job at a mid-sized office building. Every day I go to the same coffee shop across the street around 2 p.m. for my caffeine fix. I'm such a regular that the barista, Sam, automatically starts making my order when he sees me in line. On this particular day, I left my office a little later than usual, around 2:15, and when I reached the door in the lobby, I realized I left my key card on my desk on the other side of the building. But that was no problem. The secretary, Sarah, signed me out on paper, and this happens all the time. As I crossed the street and approached the coffee shop, I saw myself, me, wearing the same clothes, same bag, same everything, standing at the counter inside, chatting with Sam. I froze. My heart was racing. My brain was like, "No, you are definitely imagining this. Maybe it's someone who looks just like you." But then this other me turned slightly, and I got a perfect look at their face. It was my face, down to the tiny birthmark I have under one eye. I panicked. I turned around and walked back across the street without going inside. My hands were shaking. I kept telling myself it wasn't real, that I must have been overtired or something. But here's the thing. When I got back to my desk and looked in my bag, the coffee cup was there. The exact same coffee I was planning to order, with my name written on it in Sam's handwriting. I never went into the shop. I never bought the coffee, but there it was, hot and fresh, like I had just picked it up. I looked up at the clock, and the time was still 2:15, the usual time I get back after heading over and getting my coffee. But I'd definitely been outside for longer than a minute. It was like my timeline diverged. One version of me had split away at 2 p.m. and grabbed the coffee while I stayed behind. And then when returning to the building, our timelines merged again. Even scarier than this thought was that I, which, even scarier than this thought was which one I had been at the time. Was I the original me, or was I some kind of duplicate for that time? I spent the rest of my workday feeling just very off about the whole thing. I didn't even drink the coffee. It got me wondering about the stories of shapeshifters or doppelgangers as I'd heard in the past. And I had to wonder if this is where some of those came from. Maybe two timelines split or converge, and you can be two places at once for a short time. I wonder how many times this sort of thing happens without you noticing. I haven't told anyone at work because, let's be real, they'd think I was insane. But the secretary at the office does remember me heading out, and she recalls me forgetting my key card. But says it happened at 2, and even says so on the log where she signed me out. I've gone back to the coffee shop since, and everything's been normal. Though weirdly enough, Sam did not recall me coming in. The next day, when I grabbed coffee, he asked if I had been off sick the day before. So, if he never gave me the coffee that day, where did it come from? Some parallel universe that collided with this one for a split second? How can him and Sarah recall things so differently? But which one of those is even real? I don't know. I still have the cup. I wrote on it in red marker, "This came from nowhere." It's in my kitchen cupboard now. I keep checking on it just to remind myself that I didn't imagine the whole thing. What the hell happened? Any ideas? Well, That sure is a spooky one. Kind of like my experience with my dad and the double. Did I copy someone's comment? I copied someone's comment at the end there, so you can ignore that part. This doesn't make any sense.
I was like, what?
This doesn't make any.
I. Why did they? Okay, I understand their hands trembling and everything, but I would be walking up to that other person. I would not have turned, because I feel like if I look away, they're not going to be there anymore.
I'd be locking eyes with them, and I would run full sprint.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? This would be one of those times that I would run full sprint into the scary thing because I want to know what the hell's going on. Like, would you open the door to the coffee shop and all of a sudden you're back in your timeline and that person's not there and Sam's like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah, I don't know. Like the fact that it's weird that like they recall this happening and seeing themselves, but that Sarah recalls her leaving at 2 and had it on the log that she left at 2. But Sam does not recall her being in the coffee shop. Like, that's weird.
Well, that was her timeline. Her timeline was that she didn't make it to the coffee shop because she chickened out and turned around and went back. So the other timeline somehow gifted her coffee. So that other version of her in that other timeline is like, where the hell is my coffee?
And
Like,
they
where?
made a Reddit post.
In another timeline, she has ADHD and she is blaming that on why she cannot find her beverage. Yeah. I can't imagine. If I saw another version of me, I would be on top of that. Like when people tell me, oh, you have a doppelganger, I'm like, okay, show me. I want to see. And I've seen one. Not in real life. My friend sent me a photo of some girl and some guy at a Blazer game. And she's like, who's this guy that you're with at the Blazer game? And I was like, holy shit, that looks like me. Don't know. But I don't know. I know that it's supposed to be bad if you run into yourself, but I want to. I think that'd be, unless it's a mimic, and I don't want to do that.
Honestly, it can't get any worse than the timeline we're in. So
That's
you
true.
could just blow it up and it wouldn't be any worse than it is.
Yeah, you're right. Like, this is one of those, like, yeah, I'll mess with it a little bit. Let's see what happens.
Every time I go on TikTok Live, someone in the comments, and it's not just one person, it's like probably 10 people, ask if I am this really well-known streamer, and I can't recall his name. I'll think about it and send you his picture, but it looks a lot like me. And it's just because I have a beard and I'm bald, and he has a beard and he's bald. A ginger beard and he's pale as I am. So it looks like me a lot, but I don't know. It's pretty funny.
I'm interested. I want to see. But, like, does he have glasses too?
I think he does.
Does he have your eyebrows, your nose? Like, I don't know. Because there's somebody told me the other day, they were like, oh, I know someone that looks just like you. And I was like, oh, can I see? And they're like, it's my cousin. And they were like, she's a little bit older than you, though. And I was like, well, how old is she? And they're like, 40. I was like, that's not that much older than me. And they showed me pictures, and I can see the resemblance. We don't look just like each other, but I can see the resemblance. She has the same mannerisms and probably the same kind of style, judging from the couple of photos I saw. I still would like to meet her. It's like, we'll see. Like, we'll see if maybe it plays out more in real life, but it just looked like maybe we have, like, the same way that we smile.
Yeah, I've never been told that besides the streamer, but I'm genuinely curious if like if if my doppelganger has the same humor as I do. Does he have an excellent, impeccable Australian accent like I do?
Probably not.
What?
That's one of a kind. I had a friend once that was in like North or South Carolina, and they were like, "Your doppelganger is a stripper," and I was like, "No way!" And they're like, "I would have taken her picture, but that's frowned upon in strip clubs." And I was just like, "Man, I'm never gonna know." I want to run into another version of me.
You know, when I was 18, I was 21. No, 18. I went to a strip club on the East Coast, and like I always thought it'd be like this cool experience. Like, oh man, you get to see women naked, and it was just the most awkward, uncomfortable situation. And I've not gone to one since. Like, I don't get the appeal. I mean, I get kind of like what people, but like, great. I'm glad you make money off of that. I just couldn't be the one that goes. Like,
Yeah, I think that around here, strip clubs are more known for they have good steak, um, and like good specials on it. But I've been to a couple of them, and there was one that I walked in with a friend, and she looks at the stripper and she goes, "We did color guard together." And I remember we like sat there and watched her do her thing, and she worked it. But the money that was put down on the table, I was a host at Applebee's at the time, and it was very comparable. So I was sad. I was sad. It was like, it's not worth it. There, go be a bartender. It's better money around here. I can't. I'm sure that there's certain places and like that you make really good money. I don't think it's Oregon. In my personal humble opinion, I haven't been
well,
to a ton of strip clubs, but yeah, I don't see the appeal. And around here, I feel like mostly people just go to gamble.
that's fair. Yeah, I think the big thing on the East Coast that if you don't go to a strip club for the women, it's like, oh, there's a buffet, but like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
that makes sense.
I yeah,
It's all about the
I
food.
just it just oh my god, it's just like so many guys wearing like gray sweatpants, and I'm like
Hey,
scarred.
that's a whole Reddit thing, I'm sure, a whole like genre in itself. It's men in sweatpants, so it feels very fitting for strip clubs.
Oh god. Okay. All right. Well, no more talk about strip club. Wow. Okay. Yeah. No. This is from Thor Mayer on Facebook, and he says, "So here's a crazy one. I'm a corporate manager for Walmart. I travel for my job and now have a work laptop that I keep in the backpack that I take with me everywhere. It's very important, so it goes in the hotel with me every day. Last night, I took the backpack to my room, even grabbed a mint that I keep in a pocket of it. A little bit later, I left to go eat dinner and then came back. I ate at Applebee's next to the hotel, so I didn't actually drive anywhere. As I was in the room before bed, I recall looking at the bag, but when I woke up in the morning, it was gone. I freaked out because that's very important and there's sensitive stuff on the laptop. So I got dressed, went to my truck, and there it was. But not where I usually keep it. It was in the back seat on the passenger side, too far for me to reach. And I swear I never put it there.
I read this one. This one messes with my head. Yeah, the amount of people that are like, "You better tell your work because that's a security breach." I'm like, what do you tell them? Like, I'm gonna sound nuts, and I am a corporate executive.
Also, what are the odds that you just mentioned you worked at Applebee's and I mentioned Applebee's in this post?
I mean, yeah, I don't even remember that part of that post, honestly. I just remember he went and ate dinner, he grabbed the mint, and then somebody was like, "Is the mint wrapper in the trash?" That is all the confirmation that you need. And he's like, "No wrappers on this kind of mints." And it was like the icebreakers, like circle container. And they were like, "Dang it, that would have been a good one."
But see, I could see him sleepwalking. Going like you could have like I recall when I was a kid, I would sleepwalk through my house and like be able to do things. I mean, like I used to throw sheets in the sink and like wash the sheets in my sink, but like I used to like go downstairs, like go in the basement, go upstairs while I was asleep without like running into things or like having a problem. So, like maybe he walked downstairs and went into his truck, popped the bag in there, and bam, bam, shazam. Maybe.
Okay, but if he sleptwalked, wouldn't this happen more than once?
So maybe when he was at Applebee's, he had uh what's that drink they have there? I can't recall. It's like a really alcoholic drink that everyone gets for like dirt cheap. Maybe he
Long
had a
Island,
bunch of those.
they had dollar Long Island. No, they
Yes.
really dilute those. I think they give you like a quarter of a shot or something. And that's why it's $1. Just my
It must not
info.
have been that.
But that was it. Because they had Long Islands and they had margaritas. They went through like a whole series where it was like a month of these super cheap drinks. But they put a lot of mixer in there. And Long Island's, I don't understand how you can do that because it is mainly alcohol and like a dash of like Coca-Cola.
So maybe he went and got fucked up on Long Island STs and blacked out and slept walked.
Is he over 30? Because he'd feel that.
Looked like he was in his 40s or 50s, so I think you're right. I think he would feel that. I mean, I have
Ah,
one beer and I'm like out.
I don't know. The amount of stories that I've been seeing on that is that's like people are missing time has been really freaking me out. Like I have not missed time unless I've been drinking, but if it's somebody who's like, nope, I know everything that happened, and all of a sudden I lost time because of this, I don't know. I hate that. It ties back to the whole aliens are real and he was abducted. Or he switched timelines and the other version of him put his backpack in the truck or forgot it out there, but also puts it in a different spot. I don't know. There's a lot of excuses, but it doesn't line up.
Yeah, no, that one was very interesting, but who knows? I like the one about the coffee shop and the girl almost running into herself. And I'm very upset that she did not go talk to herself because, like, literally, that's what I would do.
Yeah, I would not take my eyes off of that other version of me. I would be like, no, you're not going anywhere unless I see you poof.
I'd say, hey, look, are you from this timeline? If you're not from this timeline, is your timeline any better than mine? And if they
Yeah.
said yes, then I would just, and then take their life.
Well, I would just say, hey, you want to try this one out? This one's really interesting.
Like, you know what? This one's has nonstop thrill rides.
Yeah.
It's just a roller coaster experience. It just fills you up with so many emotions. Do it.
Do you
Leave
want
it
to
so
feel
high.
everything? Because you will feel everything on this timeline. Like the wide range of emotions that there are out there. I have to do it like this because I can't lift the shoulder.
Do you want to feel everything you could possibly feel in your brain and never stop feeling it? Then join our time.
Yes. Then how about you give this a shot? If I see you again and you hate it, I may trade you back. And then just hope you. And then that's the reason why if you ever see the other version of yourself and you start running away. Because you want to stay in that
Full
timeline.
speed.
Yeah.
Eye contact.
Well, then what
Oh
if at the
man.
powers that be are like, you're not meant to be here? You've messed everything up. Or did you see Deadpool Wolverine? That one?
Hmm.
Okay. What if you're that person that holds the timeline together?
Oh God, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry to this timeline. I fucked you guys up so bad.
And then everything's messed up
It's
even
me.
more.
It's me. Hi, I'm the problem.
Damn it, Holden.
Which is actually possible because I in 2016, I embarrassingly did not vote for president. So I didn't vote at all in 2016. So maybe I'm the reason why we are on this journey. I have voted ever since then, the last 2 elections, but I could be the cause of the ripple
Yeah,
effect.
it's all your fault. It's all
My
your
fault.
fault. I don't know what that's from, but I could hear that chant in my head. It's all your fault.
So, everybody, thank you for joining us again. And Steph, I haven't told you this, but we had the Spotify Wrapped every year. Obviously, came out this past week, and we are the top podcast, the #1 podcast for like a dozen people. Which I don't know if that means like that's they just listen to us and that's it, or they rank us #1 or like what. But those people, thank you. I mean, everyone, thank you. But like that's insane.
Special shout out to Abe. Thank you, Abe.
And is Ashley still listening? Ashley,
Oh, I'm sure. Hi, Ashley. Thank you. I can't think of
but
who else, but I know that there's been more people in my regular life that are like, hey, what's your podcast? And then they're like, I'm almost caught up. Sweet. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
and guys, we are launching a Patreon. Probably to be it's created, but I don't have anything in there yet. So don't go giving us money yet. The plan is going to be if you join the Patreon, we will have a great name for you, kind of like the Annabelles and the Roberts. We'll have a cool name for you. Maybe we'll call you Smiling Men or Mr. Wide Mouths. I don't know.
Something spooky.
Spooky. But with each $5 donation, you will get a bumper sticker that is created by hand. But we'll see. That's launching next year, so stay tuned. I'm also working on getting the YouTube videos up. I am behind, but I will get them up there. So we have 3 episodes up there now out of the 24.
Well, thank you. You're working hard over there. I just show up in like vibes. Ripley! I don't know what my cat's eating right now, but she found something.
Well, everyone, thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.